I remember the moment the ship's door closed behind me, sealing my fate. My name is Clara, a dedicated member of a research team tasked with investigating an abandoned spaceship, the SS Albatross. Unease settled over me as we stepped aboard, the air heavy with dust and an oppressive silence. The ship, once a proud vessel of exploration, now loomed like a tomb, its corridors dark and foreboding. As we ventured deeper, the flickering lights overhead cast unsettling shadows that danced along the walls. I glanced at my teammates. Dr. Patel, the mission leader, was focused, scanning the environment with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Jenna, the engineer, fidgeted nervously with her gear, her eyes darting around as if aware of a lurking danger. The palpable tension among us hinted at something sinister, an unspoken dread that clawed at my instincts. The first sign that something was horribly wrong came when I noticed strange markings on the walls, corrosive patterns that seemed to pulse and shift under the dim light. I hesitated, a chill creeping up my spine. It was as though the ship itself was alive, watching us with malevolent intent. My heart raced as I tried to shake off the feeling, but the oppressive atmosphere clung to me like a shroud. We moved cautiously through the narrow corridors, each step echoing ominously. The ship creaked and groaned as if protesting our intrusion. My breath quickened as I recalled the reports of SCP-106, known as the CORRODER, a being that thrived on fear and despair. It was said to haunt the shadows, waiting patiently to consume the unwary. My mind raced as paranoia seeped in. Was it merely a story, or was it real? Suddenly, a loud clang echoed through the ship, reverberating off the metallic walls. We stopped, hearts pounding in unison. Dr. Patel motioned for silence, and I held my breath, listening intently. The air thickened, heavy with an unseen presence. It was then that I felt it, a chilling sensation creeping along my skin, as if something was watching us from the darkness. The realization struck like a bolt of lightning. We were not alone. Panic surged within me, but I pushed it down, forcing myself to focus. We had to find a way out before whatever lurked in the shadows decided to reveal itself. My instincts kicked in, urging me to lead the team back toward the entrance. But the ship was a labyrinth, and every turn led us deeper into its sinister embrace. As we pressed on, I could feel the weight of dread closing in, a suffocating blanket that threatened to crush our spirits. The haunting silence was punctuated only by the sound of our footsteps and the distant hum of the ship's engines, a reminder that we were trapped in a deadly game orchestrated by a being that thrived on our fear. Each moment was a struggle for survival, and I knew we had to act quickly if we were to escape this nightmare. The SS Albatross was a relic of a bygone era, a once glorious vessel, now shrouded in mystery. As we ventured through its decaying corridors, I marveled at the remnants of advanced technology that lined the walls. Holographic displays flickered erratically, revealing fragments of past missions and lost hopes. My past as a systems analyst came rushing back, reminding me how much I longed to uncover the secrets of the universe. Among my teammates, Dr. Patel was the most driven, his obsession with uncovering the ship's fate often blinding him to the growing dangers. He believed that understanding SCP-106 could unlock new dimensions of scientific discovery. Jenna, on the other hand, was practical, her engineering mindset focused on survival. "We need to get back to the shuttle," she urged, her voice tinged with anxiety. I admired her resilience, but I felt the pull of curiosity urging me to explore further. As we navigated the darkened halls, I noticed how the ship's atmosphere affected the group dynamics. Tension simmered beneath the surface, and small disagreements erupted over which direction to take. I felt the weight of responsibility resting heavily on my shoulders, realizing that my past choices as a leader had prepared me for this moment. The eerie silence of the ship contrasted sharply with our rising paranoia. Each creak of the ship's structure felt like a warning. I sensed the presence of SCP-106 drawing closer, feeding off our fear. The stakes were higher than ever, and we needed to stay united if we were to unravel the mysteries of this forsaken vessel and escape the clutches of the Corroder. As we pressed deeper into the SS Albatross, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, thickening with a sense of dread that gnawed at my psyche. The dark corridors twisted into a labyrinth, disorienting us with every step. Jenna's earlier warning echoed in my mind. We needed to find a way back to the shuttle. But the ship seemed to have a mind of its own, shifting and closing off paths as we explored. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated through the hall, causing us to freeze in our tracks. The lights flickered, plunging us into darkness for a heartbeat. Before the emergency lights kicked on, casting a red hue that heightened our tension, I could feel the panic rising in the group. Dr. Patel clenched his fists, his resolve wavering. "We need to keep moving," he urged, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. We continued forward, but the air grew heavier, thick, with an unseen pressure. I caught glimpses of movement in the shadows, flickers that sent chills down my spine. My instincts screamed that SCP-106 was near, lurking, waiting to strike. As we rounded a corner, I stumbled upon a room filled with rusted equipment and broken machinery. A faint hum emanated from the far side, and I instinctively moved toward it, hoping for something that could aid our escape. To my horror, the room was a shrine of despair, littered with remnants of previous expeditions. Personal belongings, photographs, journals, lay scattered amidst the debris. A journal caught my eye, the pages frayed and smeared with what looked like dried blood. It detailed the last moments of a team that had come before us, their descent into madness as they faced SCP-106. My heart sank as I realized the truth. We were not just trapped. We were walking in the footsteps of those who had failed. Panic surged through me, but I fought to keep my composure. "We need to regroup," I called out, my voice shaking as I turned back to find my team. To my horror, Dr. Patel and Jenna were gone, swallowed by the shadows. "No, where are you?" I shouted, dread pooling in my stomach. The ship responded with a low rumble, as if mocking my desperation. I felt the walls closing in, the very air thickening with an oppressive weight. I was alone, disconnected from my team, and the realization that SCP-106 was hunting me became all too real. I could feel its presence, a malevolent force that thrived on my fear and isolation. In that moment, I grasped the gravity of our situation. I had to find my teammates and confront the nightmare that awaited us. I moved swiftly, adrenaline coursing through my veins, determined to fight back against the darkness. Each step was a battle against the suffocating fear that threatened to consume me, and I could feel the sinister presence of SCP-106 closing in, eager to claim its next victim. As I searched the darkened corridors of the SS Albatross, the urgency of our situation intensified. With Dr. Patel and Jenna missing, I felt an overwhelming weight on my shoulders. I had to find them, but the ship's confounding layout seemed to conspire against me. Each moment spent searching felt like a precious second slipping away, amplifying the fear that the Corroder could strike at any moment. Meanwhile, threads of tension began to unravel between my teammates, even in their absence. Dr. Patel's obsession with uncovering SCP-106's secrets had previously united us, but now it felt like a chasm had formed. Jenna had voiced her concerns about our mission, suggesting we prioritize escape over investigation. Her doubts planted seeds of uncertainty, and I wondered if I had been too focused on the thrill of discovery. The realization that I might have led us into a trap weighed heavily on my mind. In the depths of the ship, I stumbled upon a flickering console, its interface displaying cryptic data about the Corroder. As I deciphered the information, I discovered it contained a log of the creature's previous encounters with explorers. Each entry revealed harrowing details of fear-induced madness and despair. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. The more I learned, the clearer it became that our fate was perilously intertwined with SCP-106's hunger. As I worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The ship's ambient noises morphed into unsettling whispers, urging me to hurry. I had to find a way to stop SCP-106 before it consumed my teammates and me. My newfound knowledge about the creature's vulnerabilities became my lifeline, but I knew I couldn't face this alone. Suddenly, I remembered the holographic device I had seen earlier. If I could find it and access its information, it might hold the key to defeating SCP-106. Each second felt like an eternity as I raced through the corridors, fueled by a desperate need to reunite with my team and confront the darkness that awaited us. The intertwining subplots of our strained relationships, the urgency of the moment, and the looming threat of the Corroder created a complex web that propelled me forward into the unknown. As I navigated the maze-like corridors, the flickering lights overhead began to stabilize, illuminating a room I had not previously noticed. It was filled with a strange, pulsating energy that made my skin crawl. In the center stood the holographic device, its interface glowing with an eerie light. My heart raced as I activated it, hoping for answers. The device whirred to life, displaying a series of images and data streams. To my shock, it revealed a hidden connection between SCP-106 and the ship itself. The Corroder was not merely a resident of the SS Albatross, it was a product of the ship's experiments, a manifestation of its darkest secrets. The realization struck me like a thunderbolt. This ship had been conducting experiments on fear itself, and SCP-106 was the culmination of those horrors. Just then, a familiar figure appeared in the holographic display, Dr. Patel. His voice echoed through the chamber, revealing his motivations. I believed we could harness the Corroder's power, he confessed, to unlock new dimensions of human potential. My stomach twisted at the thought that he had willingly pursued this path, putting us all in danger. Overcome with emotion, I felt a wave of betrayal crash over me. How could he have prioritized discovery over our safety? This revelation reframed everything. Our mission was not just to investigate an abandoned ship, but to confront the consequences of unchecked ambition. I realized that I had to act quickly. If Dr. Patel was still alive, he might not understand the danger he had unleashed. Fueled by a mixture of anger and determination, I resolved to find him and Jenna. I couldn't let Dr. Patel's misguided quest for knowledge seal our fates. The urgency of the situation crystallized into a tangible drive. I had to confront the Corroder and stop Dr. Patel before his obsession led to our doom. This turning point shifted my focus from mere survival to actively confronting the darkness that threatened us, igniting a fire within me to unite my fractured team against the very monster we had awakened. The revelation about Dr. Patel and the ship's true nature sent shockwaves through me. I raced through the corridors, my heart pounding as I sought my missing teammates. Each step was a blend of fear and resolve. I could no longer view the Corroder as just an entity. It was a reflection of our collective failings, a creature born from the hubris of exploration. As I turned a corner, I found Jenna crouched against the wall, her eyes wide with fear. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. "Clara, I thought I was alone," she gasped, her voice trembling. I quickly filled her in on my findings, and her expression shifted from fear to determination. Together, we understood that we had to confront Dr. Patel and the creature he had unleashed. When we finally reunited with Dr. Patel, he was frantically adjusting the controls of another console, unaware of the danger he was inviting. "You don't understand," he shouted, his eyes wild. "This is our chance to unlock something incredible." His obsession was palpable, and I felt a mix of anger and pity. Jenna and I exchanged glances, recognizing the gravity of his delusion. The atmosphere shifted as the ship trembled, a sign that SCP-106 was growing more agitated. "We need to leave, now," I urged. But Dr. Patel refused to listen, his fixation blinding him to the imminent threat. The urgency escalated as the ship's systems began to fail, alarms blaring in a cacophony of chaos. In that moment, we had to make a choice: confront Dr. Patel and pull him from the edge of madness, or escape while we still could. The consequences of our actions weighed heavily on us, and the path forward was fraught with danger. This pivotal moment would determine not just our survival, but the fate of everything we had sought to uncover. With the terrifying truth about SCP-106 and Dr. Patel's obsession weighing heavily on my shoulders, I knew that I had to summon every ounce of courage and resourcefulness I possessed. The stakes were higher than ever, and the shadows of the SS Albatross felt like they were closing in around us. I took a deep breath, recalling the knowledge I had gleaned about the Corridor from the holographic device. It was time to put that knowledge to use. Jenna and I formulated a plan. We needed to confront Dr. Patel before he could do any more harm, but we also had to fortify ourselves against the Corridor's influence. The ship's systems were failing, and every second was a reminder that we had to move quickly. I remembered the makeshift weapons we had found earlier, and we gathered them, arming ourselves with whatever we could find. As we approached Dr. Patel's location, I felt the weight of fear gripping my heart. But with each step, I focused on the knowledge I had gained throughout this journey. I recalled the reports about SCP-106's vulnerabilities, which indicated that it fed on fear and despair. I had to use that to our advantage. I shared my strategy with Jenna, emphasizing how we could turn our own fear into a weapon. When we finally confronted Dr. Patel, he was absorbed in his work, unaware of the danger he was inviting. "Stop," I shouted, my voice firm. "You're playing with forces you don't understand." He turned to us, his eyes wild with ambition, but I could see the flicker of doubt in his expression. That doubt was our opening. With Jenna by my side, I focused on convincing him to abandon his quest for power. "This isn't about discovery anymore. It's about survival," I pleaded, feeling the pressure of the Corridor's presence bearing down on us. It was a moment of vulnerability for both of us. Dr. Patel's fixation had blinded him, but I knew that together we could bring him back to reality. As the tension rose, the ship shook violently, and the lights flickered ominously. The Corridor was drawing closer, and I could feel its energy saturating the air. It was then that I realized I couldn't face this alone, nor could I save Dr. Patel by sheer will. I needed Jenna's strength and my own determination to create a unified front. In that moment of crisis, I felt a shift within myself. The fear that had paralyzed me before transformed into a fierce determination. I was no longer just a researcher. I had become a leader, capable of inspiring those around me. Together, we faced our fears and the very creature that threatened to consume us. With the confrontation looming, my mind raced as I strategized our next steps. Gathering the makeshift weapons we had assembled, Jenna and I prepared for the impending showdown with Dr. Patel and SCP-106. The ship's alarms blared, signaling the urgency of our situation. I felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on me, but I also felt a sense of clarity. We had to act quickly. Jenna and I had resolved our differences. We were now united in our purpose. I glanced at her, finding strength in her determination. "We need to find a way to contain the Corridor," I said, my voice steady. "If we can disrupt its connection to the ship, we might stand a chance." She nodded, her eyes filled with a fierce resolve. As we made our way back toward Dr. Patel, I felt the atmosphere shift. The ship trembled beneath our feet, and shadows whispered all around us. It was as if the very walls were alive, urging us to turn back. But retreat was not an option. With each step, I drew on the knowledge we had gathered about SCP-106, piecing together how to exploit its weaknesses. We reached the control room where Dr. Patel was still engrossed in his work. The sight of him, consumed by his obsession, fueled my determination. "Dr. Patel," I called out, my voice cutting through the tension. "You need to stop. You're endangering us all." He looked up, his expression a mix of confusion and anger. Just then, the ship shuddered violently, and the lights flickered ominously. I could feel SCP-106's presence intensifying. "We have to contain it now," I shouted, urgency creeping into my tone. We quickly gathered what we could: equipment, tools, anything that could aid us in our fight. As we prepared for the final confrontation, I felt a swell of determination. This was not just about survival, it was about reclaiming our agency in a situation that threatened to spiral out of control. Jenna and I exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of our resolve. We were ready to face the darkness together. The tension escalated as we crafted a plan to trap SCP-106, utilizing the ship's technology against it. I felt the adrenaline coursing through my veins, driving me to act. The knowledge we had gained, our past experiences, and the bonds formed during this harrowing journey had prepared us for this moment. We were not mere victims, we were warriors, ready to confront the terror that had haunted us. The air crackled with tension as we stood in the control room, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. Dr. Patel, still entranced by his ambitions, seemed oblivious to our impending danger. Jenna and I exchanged determined glances, knowing that the moment of truth was upon us. Suddenly, the ship shook violently, and the temperature plummeted. SCP-106 emerged from the shadows, its grotesque form a manifestation of our deepest fears. I could feel its power, a suffocating presence that threatened to engulf us. "Get back!" I shouted, raising my makeshift weapon. The air was thick with dread, but I refused to be paralyzed by fear. Jenna and I sprang into action, executing our plan. We activated the ship's containment systems, using the controls to channel energy into a makeshift trap. As the corridor approached, its twisted visage filled with malice, I felt my heart race. The moment hung in the air, charged with uncertainty. SCP-106 lunged, and I barely dodged its grasp, adrenaline surging through my veins. "Now, Jenna!" I yelled, urging her to activate the trap. She slammed her hand on the control panel, and the energy surged toward the creature, illuminating the room in a blinding light. For a fleeting moment, the outcome hung in the balance. The corridor roared in fury, and I could see the struggle reflected in its form as it fought against the containment field. I felt as if time had stopped, the air thick with anticipation. Would our plan succeed, or would it all end in despair? With one final push, the energy converged, and the trap snapped shut around SCP-106. The creature howled, its form twisting and contorting as it struggled against its bonds. We had done it, but the victory was bittersweet, as I could feel the remnants of fear creeping back into my mind. Just as I thought we had triumphed, the ship trembled once more, threatening to collapse around us. I turned to Jenna and Dr. Patel, urgency coursing through me. "We need to get out, now!" The path to the exit was fraught with danger, but together we surged forward, knowing that our survival depended on our unity in the face of overwhelming odds. As the ship trembled and the containment field secured SCP-106, we raced toward this exit, united in purpose. Dr. Patel, shaken and remorseful, finally grasped the consequences of his ambition. Jenna and I emerged into the light, gasping for fresh air, our lives forever altered by the harrowing experience. The SS Albatross would be abandoned, a reminder of the darkness we had faced. Each of us carried the weight of survival and a newfound understanding of fear. Together, we vowed to share our story, ensuring that the horrors we encountered would not be forgotten. Months later, the world outside had changed. Jenna and I became advocates for responsible exploration, sharing our tale to educate others about the dangers lurking in the shadows of ambition. Dr. Patel, seeking redemption, worked to dismantle the remnants of the experiments that had birthed SCP-106. While the scars of our ordeal remained, we found hope in our resilience and the bonds forged through adversity. As we stood together gazing at the stars, we understood that new challenges awaited. The universe held secrets beyond our understanding, and we were ready to face them, one step at a time. What did you think of Clara and her team's journey through the darkness of the SS Albatross? Your thoughts and interpretations matter. Share your insights on the challenges they faced and the choices they made. If you enjoyed this story, don't miss our next adventure, where we explore a distant planet filled with ancient mysteries and unforeseen dangers. Click now to dive into a captivating tale that promises to expand on the themes of courage and discovery. Join us as we continue to unravel the complexities of the universe together.